Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this March 13th, 2017 afternoon. And Chris, we had another big weekend of bodybuilding out at the New Zealand Pro and, of course, the Hawaii Pro, and there was probably a few other shows as well we'll cover. But the big news out of New Zealand is that Brandon Curry, coming directly from Oxygen Gym out there with the Camel Crew, has resurrected his career in sorts and defeated Dallas McCarver, Juan Morel, Jeff Beckham, and collected a victory and a qualification for the Olympia. What did you think of his how he looked?
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous. I know tremendous because I know in person I'm sure he looks radically different than even the pictures, because the pictures can't show you really the natural lines, shape, and flow that he has. It's kind of like looking at the beauty of a waterfall online versus one in real life.
Right.
Something, when you have a really unique looking physique, it doesn't show up in pictures a lot of times. Just like tremendous amounts of mass don't necessarily show up in pictures. Both extremes don't. So for him to look really, really, really good in pictures means that he must have been, chart busting in Kiwi land.
Dallas McCarver obviously was coming off that Australia, the Arnold USA second place behind Cedric McMillan. A lot of me, everyone was pretty much talking about how, wow, this guy really looks good. How did you think his look was compared to the USA show to New Zealand? Better, same, worse?
He looked like 10 pounds lighter, but I don't know if that's true, but it's remarkably difficult for somebody who's big to maintain fullness and condition for 2 consecutive shows. I've always told people who are big, I'm only a one-shot deal. Meaning, I can help you for the first show, but not inevitably something is, it's hard to keep the roundness for the second show. It just is. It's harder for somebody really big, and he's really big, but his condition was great.
Yeah.
And he looked, quote, round enough. I think it probably came down to this.
What?
The inevitable, that what I just said, the flow and the shape that you can't quite appreciate in the pictures that don't show up. Like I saw a couple comparisons between Dallas and Curry. I think it doesn't really show up in pictures. So the inevitable that it reverts back to that flow and shape on Curry, that probably overwhelmed Dallas in real life.
I think structurally, obviously Brandon's better. But Brandon, I didn't realize how short he is. He's very short compared to some of these other guys. Obviously, Beckham and Dallas are very tall in that lineup, but and Juan Morel's pretty 6 foot himself. So Brandon looked like a little midget compared to these guys, but he obviously structurally we knew that Brandon was always terrific. And I think Guy Cisternino said it best. Going to Oxygen is nothing more than a very disciplined environment, and I think Brandon needed that. He's think about it. He lives at home. He's got 4 kids, wife. He's got responsibilities. Send this guy into seclusion.
Well, you get free Tic Tacs too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can't overlook that.
Yeah, well, there's obviously cheating obstacles everywhere. With kids around eating junk food.
No, I said free Tic Tacs.
Tic Tacs. What's the Tic Tacs?
Well, read between the lines. The magical Tic Tacs.
Oh, the magical Tic Tac. Well, yeah, he's got everything he needs. But let's assume he can get what he needs in the United States.
No, because
Brandon needed discipline. By his own admission, he wasn't training that hard. Okay, when I interviewed him, he said he could be training harder. So go there, and all you're doing is training, and all you're doing is eating the right foods, and all you're doing is prepping and thinking about your show. Of course, you're going to be the best. I watched an interview. I don't know if you should see it. They actually put it on YouTube now, at least part 1. It's London Real's interview with Dorian Yates. They've interviewed him before, but this is like a new one. It's a new one.
I've seen the old one, which is exceptional.
Yeah, this is a new one. And I watched the part one. I'm hoping they're going to put part two up just because I like to watch it on my TV. Otherwise, I have to go to the website and watch it. But Dorian said that, because they asked him, when you had to go up against Lee Haney for the first time, after you won that Night of Champions, were you intimidated? He said, well, when I first started bodybuilding, Haney won his first Olympia. He said, so at that point, all I knew was Lee Haney is the greatest bodybuilder in the world. He said, when I realized I was going to meet him at the Olympia in a couple months, I said to myself, this guy's just a man. He's blood and bones. And I know that he's not training harder than me or more focused than me or eating better than me. He said, because that would be impossible, he said, because I pushed myself to the nth degree of everything I did, from the meticulousness of my diet to the training to my rest to taking naps, sleeping 9 hours a night, inconveniencing my family basically to say, look, this is what I got to do. I had tunnel vision. He's like, no one could work harder than me because it was just not possible. So he said, that's why I believed that I could beat him, because I knew that I was outworking him. And, I can relate to that, not that I was at the Olympia level, but when I was focused on my bodybuilding, I was the same way with tunnel vision. That's all I thought about. I didn't go out. I didn't do this. I never missed meals. I always, everything was centered around how to be the best bodybuilder. And that's probably why I maximized my potential, to whatever it was, not to the degree of, like I said, getting to an Olympia stage or even a pro stage, but it was good enough that I was the best I could be. And that's what Dorian believed. And you know what? I believe Curry was the best he could be, and he never was before. And now we're seeing what the true potential was, lying underneath all that. And we all knew it. We just didn't know if he could rise to the occasion. So I think this is a huge victory for Curry, not only in reality, but in his head. I think he knows now that he does have the tool set to beat, good bodybuilders out there, and stand up there on an Olympia stage. Is he a top 6 Olympian at this point?
Well, let me just insert this real quick. That summation of Dorian goes back to the summation of Jay. What did Jay say? These guys don't understand that you can have no social life, none. That was his motto. I don't think he articulated that to years later. Mm-hmm. But that's what he recently told me, and it rings true. Be it him, Dorian, or in this case, I guess if Curry has no social life in Kuwait and just going to the gym. Curry, let's see, who was 6 at the Olympia? Yeah, he's in the mix. He's in the mix. Put it this way: he got 10th one year when he was in good shape.
Right.
At one time, he was in really good shape. He was 10th, I think. And
this was only he was only in oxygen.
In better shape.
Right, but he's only in oxygen. What was he there? 3 months, maybe?
Yeah, 3 months.
I mean, he unfortunately has a family, but he really needs to live there permanently to be a great bodybuilder. He's got to just stay there. He should probably move his whole family there, but that probably would disrupt the whole mojo of what's going on over there. But that's this is a good comparison. You get a guy like Brandon Curry who really, really excelled in that environment. And then you get a guy like Victor Martinez who probably would have excelled, but only stayed there for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it was. And didn't really, he got okay, but he didn't get really great results. And then you have a guy who's like super disciplined, like John De La Rosa, who goes there, gets nothing out of it because he was doing everything right before he went there, So I think that, like I said, it's helpful to guys like Flex Wheeler would have been great in that environment, back in his day, because he needed that, seclusion, mental focus like that. Mm-hmm. But I don't think like you send Dorian into that environment, he would have been worse probably because it would have disrupted his whole schedule,
Yeah, well, I think the bottom line is it goes back to, you can ask Dorian. I think he was probably a social misfit when he was competing. And it sounds like to some degree, although he's, Jay know how to navigate better than others, but, I go back to that, Jay didn't do nothing. In other words, it's you got to have the discipline whether you're here or there, right?
Well, if you're going to be a bodybuilder, you better have the tunnel vision.
Well, a lot of people don't.
I know, but I'm saying if you want to be the best, and I know a lot of people out there are listening to this and who are aspiring bodybuilders, people just getting started. If you're not willing,
a lot of good bodybuilders don't. Let's put it that way.
If you're not willing to sacrifice everything, you will not be successful as a bodybuilder. Well, you won't be as successful as you could be.
What's Muhammad Ali say?
I beat so many guys that never should have beaten me, ever. That I never should have beaten, ever. And it was because I just outworked them. And I was laughing because I saw them backstage and I saw the structure on them and I'm like, oh my God, if these guys were ever in shape, man, I would be crucified. And you've seen it. You know what, when I used to hang out with Dougie Wentz, he used to play like the old 90s, like USA Championship, videotapes. We would put the VCR tape in, from the show he just did. And I think he showed me the one with Cormier one. I think he was in the show. And we're looking at these guys in the heavyweight lineup, like coming out and just hitting their one shot. Because back in the day, everyone didn't pose, one shot you got. And I'm like, who the hell's this guy? He's like, smooth legs. I said, look at his upper body. This guy looks like he could win the Olympia. Doug's like, yep. Yeah. And there would be like 5 guys like that in the class. These are guys that just weren't disciplined enough, or didn't know what they were doing, didn't have the knowledge to excel to the point where they were. And then some of these guys you see like 5-10 years later, all of a sudden they turn pro out of nowhere, like the Ed Nuns. Where did Ed Nunn? Ed Nunn was around for a long time, but Ed Nunn never put it together until, he either met the right person or something clicked in his head. And then all of a sudden at 40 years old, the guy is like a phenomenon, and went on to get his pro card and do very well in a lot of pro shows. So it really, the discipline aspect of bodybuilding cannot be overlooked. And it's not for everyone. You have to have that mentality of being able to sacrifice everything for the thought of one goal. And a lot of people can't do that. It's not worth it for them. And that's why there's not a lot of tremendous great bodybuilders out there.
Well, that was also, of course, the Ali quote I was trying to interject, which was something like, work hard now, discipline now, sacrifice now, retire as a champion, or live the rest of your life as a champion. Yeah. In other words, a winner in his eyes. Right. And the winner is not necessarily, in his eyes, obviously, in providing that quote for people that you are the winner, like first place, but when you move on from boxing, when you move on from business, when you move on from bodybuilding, you can leave behind and say, I gave it 1,000% my all and I maximized everything I had.
That's why people ask me, they're like, do you miss competing? I'm like, no, because I left nothing on the table. There was nothing that I'm regretful about. Yeah, well, would I have liked to done better? And yeah, but I went as far as I can go, obviously, and I looked my best. I got the pictures to prove it, and that's it. And I have no regrets whatsoever about whatever I did. And not a lot of people can say that. A lot of people are still competing at 45 years old because they're like, I know I haven't hit my potential yet, but at that point, Father Time unfortunately has beaten you, so to speak. You'll never be your best at 45. You got to do it in those peak, 25 to 35 year age range. That's your best.
Well, we're going to find out from Wheeler in 12 months, 9 months, 6 months.
Well, Flex Wheeler did announce that he was going to be competing again in the classic physique division. I've made my opinion known. I spoke to Flex. I'm concerned for him. I like him. I consider him a friend, even though we don't hang out. But I do think that it might be a foolish move on his part with one kidney. Especially it being a donor kidney, he has to take anti-rejection drugs. There are complications that go along with that. You really don't want to mess up the environment of your body, the status quo, so to speak, the equilibrium, the homeostatic balance, however you want to put it, when you have something like that going on. Because the doctors obviously have established him on some sort of a regimen that his body is not rejecting the kidney. It's working very well. He obviously looks very healthy. He feels good. He has a lot of energy again. I would be nervous about putting a lot of stress on my body and strain on my body, raising cortisol levels, from dieting, keeping body, doing extreme things to get in shape. I would think that it might not necessarily be unhealthy for the kidney, but it might be unhealthy for the body itself. And, I worry about that. I don't think that Flex could ever be as good as he was, obviously, at 50-something years old. So what has he got to prove at this point? The fact that he didn't retire on his own. Maybe, it's the old Don Long thing. A lot of people wondered when Don Long competed when he was on dialysis before he got the kidney transplant from his wife. He was on dialysis for about 3-4 years, and he would do it every night. He had it in his house. And he competed. He said, well, I don't have any kidneys anyway to harm, so what the frick? I'd like to go out on my terms. And he competed in a couple shows, and he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good, and people were worried about him, but really there was nothing to worry because he didn't have an organ that was going to be damaged. Essentially, he was filtering all the waste out at night with a machine, But he wanted to retire on his terms, I think, and I think that was important for him because he had the carpet yanked out from under him, kind of the way Mike Francois did as well. And Flex did to a certain degree, but Flex had already accomplished so much. That there really was nothing to prove anymore other than the fact that he maybe could have won the Olympia, But at that point, Ronnie was very dominant, and it seemed pretty unlikely that would have happened. But, I understand why he wants to try to make one more run at it. I don't think it's a good idea. Not that it matters what my opinion is. And like I said, I don't think it's a good idea just because I'm concerned about his health. How do you feel about the situation?
I think that the point that you made is it's not necessarily a kidney, but the body works as a unit. I guess, Dave, it's. I said it last week.
Would you help him if he called you up and said, "Hey, no, Chris, I want you to do the diet"?
No.
Why?
Not even if he had 2 kidneys. Because I don't like Flex. I'm kidding. It's like a Dexter. I see Dexter. I say, Dexter, the only reason I don't like you is because you're a damn good bodybuilder, beat people I help. He laughed his ass off last week. And his wife says, we love you that you hate Dexter.
Yeah, now they love it, yeah. Before they thought we were picking on him.
I said I would like him more if he was losing, actually. That'd be two-facedness of it all. No, I wouldn't help Flex because I like to remember these guys like they were. And no matter how, if Flex came and pulled a carbon monoxide gym, if in other words, if he came and stayed with me and, I was there 24/7 or whatever, he's not going to look like 93 Arnold.
Right.
And so the excitement is you can look tremendous at this point, but you're not going to go back to looking like the 93 Arnold or the 98 Arnold. Right. So, quote, why bother? It's kind of like LeBron, too. I mean, yeah, he can get better and he can look really good, but he's not going back to, and I was there. And
his waist is not going to be what it was in 93 either.
No, he's not going, he is not going back to the Night of Champions, which he first won. I was there. He posted the Crisscross song. Remember those 2 little kids? Yeah. They had hit records.
Yep.
And the crowd was like 3,000. They went ballistic the minute he came out because he looked nuts. So I just, it's kind of like, to me, like a, how old is Flex? 50?
He's got to be like Ronnie's age, I would think, 52.
Okay, so it's like a model at, coming back to do modeling work in a bikini at 52, and she can look tremendous, but she's not going to look like she's 32.
Yeah.
The knees, you can tell by the knees. Literally, the knees look old. The knees will look old.
But we'll see. Flex says he's coming back.
So that's why I'm actually supportive of the LeBron comeback and the Wheeler comeback if that's what they want to do. I'm not like.
Well, but it's the Levroni.
But if Flex called me and said, if someone asked me, Bob Paris asked me late in his career. Mm-hmm. I remember exactly where I was. Should I come back? N-O.
Yeah. But Levroni had no health issues, so there's a difference. It really wasn't anything that he was really risking seriously. You know what I mean? The worst that could happen is what happened. He flopped, and who cares? All right, he brought a ton of excitement to the Olympia stage, And I'm sure that the Vancouver show that he committed to doing this year is probably loving that Levroni's going to be there, because even if he doesn't do well, they know they're going to get a ton of people coming to watch the show. So he's good for business. But like I said, there's nothing. He's really not risking anything. I mean, obviously, there's always some health issues that everyone risks when they compete in bodybuilding. But it's nothing over the top that we should be concerned about in an acute situation.
You want to take a lot of flack, Dave?
Yeah.
Why don't you make the announcement today that you're predicting that Wheeler's going to win the Olympia, like
the Classic Olympia? Yeah. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. No, but I think that Flex will look okay. I just, like you said, I don't think we're going to see the Flex that we're used to seeing. He can't obviously do the extreme type of dehydration type situation. He was even telling us that he wasn't going to use any diuretics. He didn't need any because. He explained it this way, and I don't know if this is the truth or not. He said that when you have one kidney, like a transplant, it never shuts down like the normal kidneys do the rest. It's always filtering. So he says he dehydrates very easily because of that. Now I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I could look it up in the literature, but it'll be interesting. Chad loves these little science experiments. That's what he thrives on. So I'm sure he probably loves the fact that Flex is coming back. But,
yeah,
because it's making him relevant again. Anyway, people have been asking me. I don't want to talk about the whole MD. Sean Ray stealing Ashkenani. Peter McGuff, potentially being drunk and assaulting me. I'm not talking. I'm not bringing it up anymore. I'm not talking about any of the retards from our industry who are, putting up videos that no one cares about. I'm going to ignore that whole thing, and I'm just going to tell everyone, go piss off.
Well, there's other things to talk about.
Yeah, well, we have a lot to talk about. So we've already done that. You can go watch all the RxMuscle videos from the past week. And you'll see all the evidence and on video that we have that Sean Ray stole Ashkenani, and that then they got pissed off when I went up there, and now you got like I said, they're trying to do damage control and come out of this smelling sweet, but they can't because it was just dirty playing. And you know what the truth is, Chris? I'm about positive reporting now. That's what we do here. On a 99.9% basis, all we do is report positive stuff. We do interviews with people. We have Iron Debate. We have Iron Rate. Everything we do is positive. Muscle in the morning, and then they dragged us into the mud. And you know what? I got dragged into the mud, but I wasn't going to let Sean get away with what he did. So that's the only reason that happened. We were not looking to create a negative situation out of it. But you know what? When a negative situation approaches us, we're not going to just sit back and take it on the head. And at the same time, you know what? If you want to give me content for the site, I'll put the content up. And those videos probably got more hits than anything else we did the whole weekend. Matter of fact, my video on their site that they filmed, that they put up their version of my video when I went over and spoke to Sean, got more hits than anything they did the whole weekend. So theoretically, I was the most valuable employee they had for the weekend.
Hardest working employee of the weekend.
I got more hits than the winner Cedric got on their site because they never got an interview with Cedric. So I was number one for the Arnold weekend over there at MD.
Well, they had the Poland interview with Cedric. Maybe they could put that up. People have been sitting on that.
Yeah, there you go. What's the is Cedric doing Australia next week?
No, he's got side tech commitments.
Oh wow.
He's got pre-arranged. I told you, nobody. I think he can buy with the frequent flyer miles. I think he can get American Airlines to come out and dig his fish pond for him. They say, you want miles? You want flights? No. You got thousands for SciTech because you've been flying all over the earth. No, I don't want them. Yeah. What can we do for you? You got 10 million miles. You can dig my fish pond. I guarantee if he came on our show and said, I'm looking for someone to dig the fish pond, there would be a listener. People would show up with shovels. Yes. But there would be people that were experts. I'm going to tell you a funny story. Before I moved to Cape Coral, right before I moved, or maybe right when I got here, someone on Facebook had messaged me and said, "Oh, you're moving to Cape Coral. That's all really cool, and so happy that you're going to be here. I live there too." And instead of hitting reply, and for some reason I hit the call button. You can call people on Facebook. And I called the guy. I didn't know who he was. Yeah. This guy Dave,
and a nice guy, and we talked, and I felt bad that I called him for no reason. So we talked probably for 15, 20 minutes, and he's telling me about this and that and whatever, and I didn't really remember the call because 3 months passed. So I'm looking for Amanda and I are looking to redo our bathroom. We wanted to go to it was Saturday. It was about 4:00. We wanted to go to like a marble and the granite place, and we're looking, and everything closes like 4:00 in Cape Coral. All these marble places. I'm like, damn it! There was one place open in Fort Myers till 6. So I said, you know what? Let's head over there. And as we're heading there, I call on my phone. I hit call from the website, from this store's website, and no one answers. And I call back like 2 minutes later, no one answers. I'm like, whatever. Maybe they're closed. Next thing I know, my phone rings. And I answer the phone, and it's a Cape Coral number, Fort Myers number. Dave, what's up? I'm like, you just called? So I'm thinking, well, maybe the guy, First of all, I had visited a marble place the other day, but I knew that this was not the voice of the guy I talked to. I said, maybe this guy just saw me on caller ID, and that's why he's saying Dave. Sure. So I said, yeah, and we started talking, and I was playing along, and I'm like, do you know me? He's like, yeah, we talk. We talked on Facebook. It was the same guy. Of all the people I could have picked, he owns a marble and tile place, this guy, and a marble and a granite place, and in Fort Myers. And he wasn't going to be. He was in Naples at the time, but he's like, "Oh man, just you come in during the week. We'll take care of you." I told you this when we talked the last time. I don't know. Maybe you didn't remember. I said, "This is talk about meaningful coincidences. It's so insane that of all the people I could have called, you were the person I called. You were the only store listed at being open at 6:00, and you weren't even open." I said, but you still called me back. So he's like, well, what happened was I saw my phone ring, and I saw your name because I had it stored in my phone book. I was like, what's Dave Palumbo calling me for?
That's crazy.
So
huh?
I mean, that's how this works, So if Cedric put it out there, I need a pond dug. Guaranteed, there's someone in South Carolina who lives near him who digs ponds who would come and dig the pond. I guarantee.
Probably a pond digging specialist.
Yeah, maybe Cedric can do some side work. You get all his kids some side work with the pond guy. Could you see Cedric's whole family digging the pond? I definitely could.
Oh yeah, the kids, all the boys. Yeah,
Cedric,
he's got he's got 4 kids.
Yeah, he'd have like his 6-year-old on the tractor, like digging it out. Junior, come on.
Yeah, he's got 4 kids, and they're young. You know what I mean? It's
imagine when they're like teenagers, he's going to have them like marching like in the army. They'll be like soldiers. Doing whatever he tells them to do.
I told you he's got the belt hung up near the kitchen table.
The whooping belt, right?
Yeah, the whooping belt, which is not used, but you should see the mean look and face and that he gives when the kids are acting up. Because when my kids were there, he said, "See that over there?" And they're like, they figured out real quick. And he didn't even say, "I'm going to give you a whipping if you don't behave." He just that long finger he just pointed at my oldest, and he dropped his head down and looked his eyes up. When you like lower your head, and he pointed to that belt, and then he pointed to him. He pointed to the belt and back to him. My son was petrified, man.
So obviously, a lot of people have been responding to Cedric's, to the interview that we did with Cedric post competition, which was phenomenal. Even though he was like, he had hiccups and he was like ready to pass out. It was a great interview. And the question I was always wanting, I've been dying to ask him, from the minute I knew that if he ever won the Arnold Classic, I was going to ask him this question was, can you beat Phil Heath? And, the way Cedric posed it was, well, politically, I might not be able to, but I think I have a better physique than him, which I thought was okay. That's acceptable. It was a definitive statement. It wasn't a wishy-washy statement. He basically said, "I have a better physique. I think I have a better physique."
He said to review it. He said that's a political question, and you said, "Do you have?" And your reply was, "Do you have a better physique?" And he said, "Hell yeah."
Yeah. So. I see that you had sent me a text message with a screen capture that Phil Heath's wife or girlfriend had responded to this. Not Phil, but the girlfriend. What do you have the thing that she wrote?
Yeah, she said it says like someone sent it to me. ... speech. We're proud of him for being positive and happy for Cedric. Of course, his ignorance and immaturity can't be hidden for too long, right? After dry humping Arnold on stage, he walks off and discredits the entire IFBB, and he thinks he can beat Phil. That Arnold went straight to his head! !
Wow.
Once he gets rid of his hiccups, he should get to work.
It's a very strong statement. Do you think that that's coming from Phil, or is that just, do you think his girl just saying that?
Well, what strikes me is ignorance and immaturity. I mean, if you listen to a speech that you're supposedly proud of, and it's not your job to be proud of anyway.
Right.
It was just a speech, and actually it was the greatest speech ever given at a bodybuilding show.
Absolutely.
I think that was undisputed. I mean, he took the time to do two things, which was genuine, to recognize the other competitors and to push back. He explicitly said, you know what?
Yeah.
I have the best physique today, but we have different, diverse physiques. And people need to understand that everybody has their strengths in their own ways. And Cedric, is tired of people beating up on, this guy's physique's terrible, or this guy's that, or,
Right.
It takes a lot to get up on stage at that level. And he went out of his way to say the internet screwed it up even more, because people get on the internet and spout this and this and this and that. And that's exactly what is encapsulated in Phil's girlfriend's text.
Yeah. Well, I think Phil probably felt insulted by the fact that Cedric said he could beat him. But you know what? It wouldn't be the first person who said that they could beat him. So
he did not say, listen, that's the distinction.
He said thinks he has a better physique. But that's
physique.
worse. That's worse. That's a bigger blow to a bodybuilder. Bodybuilders don't care about who wins shows. They care about who should win the show. Because in his mind, he doesn't want to think that Cedric's actually better than him.
The point is, Cedric made the distinction. He went out there and put it out there, and that was like the applause of the night is people get up on the internet and go nuts and tear people down. And, she's saying that he discredited the IFBB and throws in after dry humping Arnold. You know what? All you need to do is watch Arnold and Cedric together on the stage on Sunday, laughing their asses off about that one. Yeah. So Arnold
thought it was funny.
The funniest guy in bodybuilding probably ever. I mean, that's one of the most endearing. That's one of the ways Arnold made it into Hollywood. He's funny. Yeah. He's outlandish, and he says crazy things like in 1975. When asked about the pump, it's like coming all the day. I'm coming here. I mean, that's crazy in 1975, right?
Yeah. Well,
Didn't seem to hurt Arnold. When you asked Cedric, do you have a better physique? His answer was matter-of-factly, yes, I do. I think people would agree that Wheeler has a better physique than Coleman.
Right.
But in a bodybuilding show, Coleman would beat him. Mm-hmm. I think Sean Ray in 1994, 1995, 1996 has a, quote, better physique than Dorian. Dorian will beat him every day. So there's a distinction between who is bigger, harder, gnarlier, and who has a, quote, better physique.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
So, but if you're the girlfriend to Mr. Olympia and you can't make distinctions between you don't have the knowledge you don't have the understanding of what a physique is and what wins bodybuilding shows, then, quote, it's forgivable because you don't even know what you're talking about.
I guess so. I think, I like all controversy. I think that probably Phil took it a little personally that Cedric said that. But that's all right. Cedric won the Arnold. He can say whatever he wants at that point. The bottom line is at the Olympia, who's going to win? And if Phil wins, then he gets the last laugh. So,
well, we can say this definitively that Phil is right now for sure the better bodybuilder, but the better speech maker is Cedric.
No one beats Cedric's speeches, that's for sure. He should do that for a living when he's done. Maybe he can run with Arnold. I heard Arnold wants to run for Senate now in 2019 or something.
I saw that. What do you think of that?
I'm shocked that he wants to go back into politics, but because you would think at his age now, he's probably having such a good time. He's no stress and pressure on him. He can do whatever he wants. He's got all the Arnolds. He goes there. He has a good time. He can hang out with his buddies. And do you really want to have to like go into to Congress and deal with all the stress and people blaming you for the state of affairs in the state? I don't know. Maybe he likes that whole political, name game. It is a lot of power, and power is an intoxicating type of thing, because a lot of people said, why would Donald Trump want to be president? The guy's in his 70s, and you think this is his heyday, but power's appealing to a lot of people. I think Arnold likes it. I think he'd be good. I think he'd win. Maybe Cedric could be like his lieutenant senator there, or whatever his whip. It's whip.
Yesterday, Donald Trump Jr. made the interesting statement. They asked him about, he was giving a speech, and he said, man, I didn't realize I'd miss the campaigning, just the campaigning, because he said doing deals is one thing, the excitement, you get excited, you get addicted to the adrenaline is, part of it, it's kind of like a contest prep. You're running for president of the United States or Senate, and Trump Jr. said that the level of energy that you have to put into every day, and so many things going on all the time. And he said it's so exciting, I miss it already.
That's funny.
So maybe Arnold misses it.
Yeah.
Or maybe he wants to contribute.
I'm sure he misses it, but. And I'm sure he'd probably be a good senator. I think he has a lot more experience now. When he ran for governor, he had no experience. Now he's got a ton of experience in government. So, and he knows the inner workings. And I think as we get older, you just have a better idea of what society is all about.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. The problem with that is if he does become a senator, we'll never see him as much at all these shows anymore. He'll be there for 2 minutes and flying in and out with Secret Service like he used to. I like the Arnold that's a little more relaxed and kind of just chills out and hangs out. I was at the Hall of Fame ceremony. He was just wandering around there. It was a good atmosphere. Let's talk about this New Zealand Pro for a second. Obviously, Brandon Curry winning with unanimous first place votes. Dallas McCarver finishing in a unanimous second, with Juan Morel and Jeff Beckham battling it out in that fourth position and fourth position. Obviously, a four-man show. Curry coming out on top here. McCarver, is he the real deal? That's the question.
Yes. Yeah.
He is. Okay.
He is. Curry is. I mean, these are two. They're both real deals.
Mm-hmm. Looking at Juan Morel critically, okay, finishes third here, which is obviously a good finish for him. But let's assess his look, because I didn't feel at the Arnold and I didn't feel at this show that this was the best. This was not the Juan Morel we saw win the New York Pro 2 years ago.
No, you just took the words right out of my mouth.
He's not as sharp. And he's not.
Full.
And he's not. I don't know. Dare I say full? I think his legs are just down in size. I don't know. I don't think it's a fullness issue.
Well, running into the show, I thought he was like a dark horse. I mean, I thought into the Arnold, and I would measure that this way: just transport the New York Pro winning Juan Morel,
okay,
and put him in the Arnold. And that would have probably, it probably would have created a top 3 call out versus top 2 over and over call out. Mm-hmm. It would have been the Cedric, Juan, and Dallas comparison. And not coming in full, because those guys were so blasting full, it just automatically relegated him to not in the running.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's got to go back to the drawing board at this point and figure out what's not working here, because he's got tremendous talent and potential. And I know he works hard, so I know he lives and breathes bodybuilding. So I think that he's just something's going wrong here. Beckham, let's talk about Beckham. Beckham was very impressive at the San Marino Pro at the end of last year, and comes in here kind of as a surprise dark horse, because no one really even knew he was doing the show. And, he can stand up there with these guys. He's got the structure. He's got a small waist. He's solved his conditioning problem. He probably needs a little more size on his body, but he's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah. He's a extreme dark horse in the making. Meaning he's proven I thought he got overlooked like crazy at the Ferrigno.
Yeah.
Wherever he placed there, I thought it was a bad call.
Yeah.
I can't remember the placing, but I was just like, wow, Jeff Beckham looks tremendous. And he looked very, very good in San Marino. So the Ferrigno was his best. Second best was San Marino. Third best was here. Yeah. Out of his looks ever. But he was good here. And, he's on his way somewhere. He's going in the right direction for sure. He's certainly not going sideways and not going backwards.
Right. The question is, can he add more size at his age? Because I think he's got to be 40 years old, I would think, at this point. Or close
he's one of these younger 40. You know what I mean? It's like, Roden only took the jump at, late 30s.
Yeah, that's
38. True. And, it's not like, you know what I mean? It's
maybe Beckham should go out to Oxygen Gym.
Yeah, he might work out good for him.
Yeah. But, aside from the top four, the rest of the guys were kind of from just New Zealand and Australia area, and they really weren't in the running. But a good top four at the New Zealand Pro. Congratulations to Mo.
Who was fifth and sixth?
Congratulations to Mo El Moussaoui putting on a good show there. Fifth place was Darren Onakawa from New Zealand. And Salomon Al-Tarkaib from Kuwait was sixth. I don't know if he was I'm assuming he was an Oxygen Gym guy. And there was a classic men's physique division there. Matteo Vihu from New Zealand wins it. So he'll be going to the Olympia. First, I don't know if I would assume that's the first New Zealand guy to go to the Olympia in classic physique. And so Mo is building that show up. I remember it was just one division. Now he's got the open men. And he's got classic physique. So it's good that they sandwiched it in between the Arnold USA and the Arnold Australia, because really it's very close flight to Australia. So guys went there, obviously competed, and then they'll fly to Australia, hang out there probably. And Tony Doherty's training his gym this week, and then compete at the Arnold Australia. So it's a nice little jump. I flew in 2012. I flew all over Australia, and it's not a big country. You can fly all over the place, and for an hour, 2 hours. I think Auckland, New Zealand to Sydney or whatever, Melbourne, which is where the show is. It's like an hour and a half flight, so it's not a big deal, and it's not going to screw your conditioning up. I have a feeling we'll probably see a very good Dallas McCarver at the Australia. He might even win the Arnold Australia because he's acclimated now. Is Brandon Curry doing the Arnold Australia?
I would assume so. Why wouldn't he?
You would think so, right?
Yeah, he's got to be doing it. It would be a monumental mistake not to do it.
Right. I mean, because he's got that momentum coming off of this win here. Let me see if I can find the competitor list. So I hear it's snowing up there again in the north, huh?
Oh, God. I got a text from yesterday from Guy Sistonino, who's actually doing the Arnold. He's doing the Australia Arnold.
Oh, he is? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he said he's got to leave a day early. I thought he might have to scratch his tan off or something. And so he's got to leave a day early, and he said a big storm is coming. And I just went into money because it costs a lot for me to remove snow. And I thought we were done. And what's crazy is we had it was the record January warmth, February warmth.
Payback sucks. You got to move to Florida, Chris.
Yeah, I know.
It's been 85 degrees every day here. I'm out in shorts and t-shirt and.
I know.
Looking at the goats.
I see you smiling on Instagram, and I see Logan out there having a good time on his little bike. And
Absolutely. All right, let's see what this Arnold Australia lineup looks like. I got this new internet in my house, but it's the wireless is not that fast. Logan hurt himself.
Did you Dave? You hear Logan in the background, everyone? Dave's son. Did you see the video that went viral on BBC Network? They were interviewing this guy like this. I don't know what they were. He was in his home office, and it was like this really important, interview on either politics or national security. And he's got his suit and tie on, and he's got his game face on, and the door crashes open and in comes crazy dancing. It's either his son or daughter, and he's live on TV, and without missing a beat, he puts his hand back behind him and tries to like shut the mouth of the son or the daughter. And then in comes the baby, and you know those little walkers that Logan used to run around on. You know, where they can't walk. The baby comes flying into the.
He's still running around. He's almost walking. He takes like 5-6 steps, and then he gets scared and sits down on his butt. But you know, it's interesting. This men's open in at the Arnold Classic has got a good lineup. You got Curry, Dallas McCarver, Beckham is back, Juan Morel, Lionel Baiki will be there. Michael Lockett, Max Charles, who did phenomenal at the Arnold USA, and Guy Cisternino. Is he doing the Open?
I just said that. Why were you
wasn't listening because I wasn't registering because it didn't make sense. Why is he going to do the Open there?
I think he has to be there for something, you know, for whatever. And Tony asked him to do the show.
Wow.
And so he said, "Yeah, I'll jump in the show."
That's his first Open show, huh?
Yeah, first Open.
Huh. You were approving of this?
I had some reservations about it. You know, the flip side is, you know, he'll probably be one of the more conditioned guys.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, see how he does. Good luck, Guy. You know, we'd love to see you do. I like to see unconventional stuff get done. So
yeah, and that's kind of the flip side is. Listen, you know what, Mark? You ever see Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Mark Cuban's on there, and there's that the other guy from Canada who's another.
Yeah.
I forget his name. I like him. I like them both, and they don't like each other.
Right.
They butt heads or whatever. And so one day, Mark sat down with the guy from Canada, and the guy was, I like to call a local billionaire or whatever he was, multimillionaire. He has businesses in Canada, right? And he's very wealthy. And you know, I've seen his house, and of course, real estate groupie that I am. I've seen his house in Canada. It's insane. And it's in Toronto, and so Mark sits him down, and they go out to have lunch. And Mark says, "You know what the problem with you is?" I forget his name. He said, "Your problem is you're comfortable with success and you don't think bigger." He says, "You're not thinking big enough." And you know, the guy was kind of insulted. He said, "What do you mean? You know?" He said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Whatever he's doing in Canada, like security for companies, cybersecurity."
Right.
He says, "You got to take that stuff international, man." And he was afraid, and he was worried, and he's like, "Oh, you know, it's safe being in Canada, doing it in Canada. I'm doing well in Canada. You know, I'm still a big fish."
Yeah.
And Mark said, "No, you got to be a giant fish in the world pond." And so he took his advice, took his company, the same thing that he was doing in Canada, to the United States and China. Or as Trump would say, China, right? And
right.
It went nuts. Like the company just blew up. So
wow.
It was like, you know, an epiphany moment.
Yeah.
Taking a risk. So when guys, you know, I want to do the Open, it's like, well, you know, whatever. You know what?
Well,
throw your hat in there.
Anyone he beats is a feather in his cap because he's not supposed to beat anyone. So that's the way I look at it. So well, Jose was very successful. He should have won a show in the Open before.
Yep.
And Flex Lewis earlier in his career did very well at the Open at a couple of those European shows he entered. So, well, look, we got to take a commercial break, Chris. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Hawaii Pro, what's coming up this coming weekend, and then, of course, maybe we'll get to a couple Ask Dave's. I don't know, and Ask Chris's. I don't know if we're going to have time. Guys, stay tuned. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
A legendary name in hardcore supplementation. Iron Mag Labs. 100% original, patent pending andro compounds. The most effective hardcore, groundbreaking bodybuilding supplements in the world. Iron Mag Labs. Revolutionizing hardcore supplementation for more than a decade. Visit ironmaglabs.com. ironmaglabs.com.
Hi, I'm Dave Palumbo, and I just had a protein shake made with Quest Nutrition's new salted caramel protein powder. And I can tell you this, it's on a whole new level. It's a total reinvention of the protein shake. The taste is incredible, and its creamy texture and richness make it taste like a real caramel milkshake. It's incredibly low carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 22 grams of protein in every serving. No soy, and it's gluten-free. Just add water, ice, a scoop of protein, and shake it up. It's that easy. I actually look forward to drinking this shake. And Quest Nutrition has got a total of 7 different flavors. They come in convenient single-serving packets so you can mix and match. Check out loveyourproteinpowder.com for more information on Quest protein powders and some delicious shake inspirations. Welcome back to Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, talking with the technician, Chris Aceto, on this beautiful March 13th day. And, I can't believe it. To be honest with you, I can't believe we're into March already. Theoretically, I guess spring is here because we just did the daylight savings. We lost an hour of sleep last night. And for those of you like my dad out there who have not adjusted your clocks, you got to set your clocks back. Or ahead, I should say ahead. See, I almost screwed everyone up. You got to set them ahead. You lose an hour on daylight savings. And all's well in the world. I don't know, to be honest with you, how all these pro shows are coming off, Chris, and they're all getting done. But I guess it's a testament to the fact that there's so many people competing now out there. There's so many pros that we almost need this many pro shows because, Tim Gardner had his first annual Hawaii Pro Show this same weekend as New Zealand, and he got a great turnout. So the competitors are out there; they want to compete, and he had a pro bikini event. Courtney King, who's the reigning Miss Olympia, who lost in the Arnold USA to Angelica Texera, she comes in here and wins this event. So that's a nice little momentum boost. India Paulina was second here, with Vanessa Avia in third. In the pro, they had a pro fitness. Whitney Jones won with Fiona Harris second and Rebecca Sizemore third. They had masters. They had all kinds of crazes. They had a figure pro division as well, and I am happy to announce that my good friend Heather Dees has finally won another pro show, and she'll be going back to the Olympia. Congratulations to her. I thought it was one of her best looks of her career. Justin, her husband, had been sending me pictures. I know you're tight with Justin, and Heather looked really, really good. Bojana Veseljevic finished in second, and Wendy Fortino third. So it was a great weekend. There was also a pro men's physique there division where Andre Ferguson, my good friend, who just finished second to Ryan Terry at the Arnold USA, wins this event. That's got to be a huge momentum boost for him. Long Wu in second. And I see it's funny, there was a Masters over 40 212 division and a Masters over 40 open division. But there was one guy in both divisions. Mike Dragna won the open. Shavasiga won the 212. Why there wasn't more people there? I guess it's because they don't give prize money. This is the new thing I've seen on this 2017 schedule. They're having more of these pro master events, maybe to give the masters guys or the guys over 40 a venue to compete in. But they're not giving prize money at these shows. So unless you just want to go win a trophy, I guess a lot of guys are not doing it. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, and then. Otherwise it's kind of an oxymoron, right? Yeah. Pro show.
Well, if you're doing a pro show, you're right. You'd think you'd win some money. At least Gary Udit had it right. Gary Udit said, you know what? Yeah, there might not be any sponsorship money there for prize money, but what I'll do is I'll just charge the competitors to compete. It's like doing a football pool. If everyone puts $100 in and one guy wins, there's going to be a lot of money in that football pool, right? So if everyone pays into the kitty, so to speak, and then Gary gives away in prize money to the top three or whatever, however they break the prize money down, at least you're winning something. So if you think you're good enough, it's like you're betting on yourself, essentially. You're putting money into the till, and hopefully you'll collect it at the end of the afternoon or at the end of the evening. So it is what it is. Look, I have to applaud Tim Gardner because this guy is all over the freaking place with these competitions that he's running. He's promoting everywhere, and Hawaii is not an easy place to get to. It's a very, Tim is from Florida like I am. That's got to be like a 18-hour flight to get to Hawaii, and I'm sure he had to go back and forth there a couple of times to set up the show, and find the venue and the hotel and all that legwork that he was doing over there. So, I mean, this guy is probably one of the hardest working promoters in all of bodybuilding right now. I mean, he's got a show in Phoenix and San Antonio and Tampa and Chicago and an L show he does with him. He's all over. I don't know how he does it. I told him, I said, Tim, I don't know how you do it, to be honest with you. I'd have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah. I mean, he loves it. Has to be.
He must. Yeah, he must. I always look at what other people do, and I'm like, I don't know how they have time to do it because I'm doing 14 things already at the same time. So I'm like, I couldn't conceivably. Someone's like, you want to promote a show? I'm like, when? I don't have any time. I don't have time to do anything. I said, I run 3 businesses. I run Dave Palumbo Enterprises, which is my nutrition clients. I have Species Nutrition. I have RxMuscle. And RxMuscle takes 90%, well, I shouldn't say 90, probably 80% of my time away because, we do so much coverage over there. So it's hard for me to imagine doing anything else, but I guess if I wasn't doing anything and I just concentrated on one thing, I probably would be very good at it too. I mean, what you do is amazing. I mean, you have over 200 apartments that you have to take care of, and then you go to shows and you do contest prep for people. I don't know how you do it, and then you have 3 kids. So
crack.
Yeah, you just don't. No, the answer is you don't sleep because I know you don't. You just smoke a lot. You drink a lot of coffee. Chris smokes a lot of coffee. Oh my God. Well, you got to stay busy. That's the key. What
you only
else?
live once. You only live once. That's the answer.
Well, you got to. If you're doing what you like, I guess it's not really work. That's why I always tell people. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't do what they like a lot. They do what they don't like, and that's why they're miserable. And that's it's not fun to be miserable in life. I can't imagine it. Can you imagine doing something that you hated doing every single day of your life?
Dude,
even if you were making good money doing it. Imagine if you hated it.
I worked at a bookstore in college, and I just loathed every second of every part of working there, from the boss to the environment but I had to do it, you know what I mean? And I used to think there's no way, just no way I can do something that I don't like. I was 18. I just hated it.
Huh.
You know what's funny? When I was out in California a few weeks ago,
yeah,
I used to work out there the entire summer. Guess what my paycheck was at the end of the summer? The entire summer. I mean, I'm talking, Dave, up at 6, bed at midnight, 7 days a week, all of June, July, and August.
How much?
Drum roll, please. $500.
Oh my God. Did you learn anything there working?
I learned that. Yeah, I learned a lot of things.
I learned that I don't like working for no money. That's what I learned. Yeah.
No, I learned. I learned what management looks like. I learned that people who you have expectations to be hard workers can flop, meaning coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that being being on time and being passionate about what you like and being committed to people who you said you'll be committed to can parlay you into top management.
Well, Dorian said it best in that London Real interview, and I'm a big believer in what he said in the sense that everything in this life is vibrations, essentially. And how do you create vibrations? Well, your thoughts. So the more you think about something, the more you must get it. That's why when he consumed himself with bodybuilding and immersed himself in it like he was, he couldn't fail. He had to attract what he wanted or what he was thinking about. And I think that's an important thing for people to understand, because I have a lot of people who are very unhappy with their their situation, but they're really not doing anything about it. All they do is think about what they don't have. All they do is think about the misery in their life or the lack of money, and then they just get more of that. All you have to do is imagine your life as you want it to be. All the cooperative components will be summoned to you at that point. Everything will come to you.
We talked about that.
Yeah. We always talk about it, and I have to keep bringing it up to people.
Yeah,
It's the law. It's the law of attraction. You get what you think about, whether you want it or not.
I told you about the property, right? The bizarreness of the...
Yes, absolutely. How about the tile? The thing I just told you the story about the marble tile. I mean, all I was thinking about is this bathroom I want, and look what happened. The person who I talked to on the phone 3 months earlier, I called him by accident, and he. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, and that's just a small thing. I was consumed. I wanted to get this BMW M5 back in 2000. It was 1999, and I wanted this car. I was going to get a 5 Series BMW, and I really didn't. I liked it, but I saw the M5. It was the first time they were going to come out with it in a bunch of years, and I'm like, this car. It was like my dream car, and I had never really bought it. I think I had bought one new car prior to that, and I was making decent money, but I didn't have enough. The M5 was very expensive. I think it was like $75,000 or something like that. And all I did was go on websites and look at this thing and fantasize about this thing, and I didn't even think it was possible to get it. And I got into a car accident with this old car I had gotten, and I was suing because I had whiplash, and I figured the insurance company would give me like a small settlement, and they wouldn't, and I wound up having to go to trial with this thing. Believe it or not, trial on a rear end. I got rear-ended, and the lawyer said, "Let's just go. What the hell? Let's do it." He goes. Who knows what will happen? The jury wound up giving me $150,000. Now, I had agreed to only take the $50,000 policy limit of the guy because I didn't want to make the guy, who hit me have to pay out of his pocket. That was not the intention. So I wound up getting $50,000. My lawyer took a third. I got $35,000 or something like that, $33,000, and that was and I wound up buying the M5 with that. That was my down payment on the car because I had the rest of the money saved already. So I actually bought the car cash. And that was my first really cool car. And like I said, it's a stupid, like very superficial type of thing, but it just goes to show you. I mean, for literally like 8 months, that's all I thought about was this car.
Can I one up it? Can I one up it, please?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have no boating experience. 1991, 1990, I buy a boat in Maine, and I bought it at an auction. And they were giving the boats away, right?
Right.
And it's a big boat. People it's a big boat. And so I fall in love with boating. I mean, love. Love. From day one I get on that boat, I said, this is unbelievable. And I use it like crazy. You can sleep on it, you can cook on it, you can eat on it. Little, it's good enough size. So I go down in at some point in the spring. This had to be like 1990. A few months later, I go down to visit Bob Gruskin.
Right. For
something. I can't remember what the hell I went down there for, but they were having a boat show. I've never been to a boat show. Mm-hmm. And it was down in what's all the way down the tip of Manhattan. What do they call it? Regardless.
Like Wall Street area.
Yeah, Battery there's a Park. Boat show down there. Yeah, Battery Park. I go to the boat show, and the biggest boat that they have, I go on, and I just never been on a boat like this, and I'm just, swept away. I take all the material from the guy. I talk to the guy about it, and
sure.
I can't even drive my boat, for God's sakes. And I take his card, and I look through this brochure like an hour a day, and I just imagine being on this boat. But it costs a fortune, right? So a few months, I think it was a year later, I must have looked at this boat. There was no internet, so I looked at this boat brochure daily.
You probably had the thing memorized, right? You knew what the boat looked like. You had never been in it.
I pictured myself on it.
Wow.
And having it. So I go back to New York. I'm going overseas. And who do I go stay with for like a day? Bob Gruskin. And he lives near City Island in New York.
Sure.
City Island.
Yep.
Which cute. I love that little island.
Cute community,
Yep. So for some bizarre reason,
Chris, I'll take you to eat. Let's go eat. Let's go eat at City Island. We'll get a little fish, in the water.
So I go over, and there's a boat shop next to the food shop. There's a boat shop. Next to the restaurant. There's a marina, and it's freezing out. It's like December. I think it might have been like Christmas Day or something. And I go over there to look around, and the salesman comes out and he says, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah." I'm at this point, it's like bodybuilding. I love boats.
Yeah.
I said, "What do you got?" So he takes me on the exact boat.
Oh, he had that boat? Wow.
Yep. The exact make and model.
Okay.
And they're selling it for, I think, like 30 cents on the dollar.
No way.
I said, "I'll take it."
Did you really?
What do I do? Oh, yeah, I'll take it. So the deal was, why were they selling it 30? First thing is, why are you selling it 30 cents on the dollar? I don't, at this point, I don't even care the answer. I'm going to take it. He said, well, it was kind of like an insurance scam. It technically, supposedly sank, but it's here and we're selling it. So the owner got the insurance check in full.
So he doesn't care.
And so they have it.
Right.
So now they have the boat, and however that works, and we're selling it. And I said, "I'll take it." I'm going to. I think I was going to Qatar. And I said, "What do you need for a deposit?" I had my bank called Key Bank in Maine, had them wire them the deposit, and I said, "I'll see you when I get back." And that was the story.
Oh my God! And
so
how much did you pay for it? How much did you pay for it?
I think I paid $120.
It was probably worth double that, right?
Oh no, it's 30 cents on a dollar. So
is that the 40-something foot boat you had?
Yeah. It was paid $125, and it was a $154.
Was it new? I mean, was it pretty good shape?
It was in turnkey, dude. It was ridiculous. When I pulled it up to the marina in Maine, people were like, it was the biggest. It was one of the biggest boats.
Were you
Maine
scared to drive it from all the way from
I didn't
City
know how
Island?
to drive it. I had to get my friend to drive down with me to pick it when it was time to pick it up.
Yeah.
I had to get my friend, who was a pilot, to come down.
It's a big boat. Yeah, it's huge.
I had no concept how to drive.
Was it scary driving all the way from New York to Maine on the boat in the Atlantic Ocean?
No. I mean, I took it to Florida, so.
That's true. You went all the way to Florida. That's right. Oh my God, that had to be scary, huh? Going down there.
No, that was a blast. I had the same. I chickened out. Listen, I was going to go myself, and I had to call the same pilot and say, he's like retired wealthy guy.
Oh, so you got him to come.
What are you doing? And, I did it at the two-night warning. I said, I'm going to Florida in 2 days. I'm taking my boat down. You know what he did? He laughed. He said, "No, you're not," because he knew I wouldn't have the know-how to get it there.
Yeah, because you have to know how to navigate. You can't just
you have to
drive.
know how to navigate.
It's not just go south.
But even,
you
don't get on 95.
No, that's great. How long did that take?
I took a month to come down.
Wow. So you were stopping at different ports and stuff like that?
Everywhere,
You probably spent a fortune, I'm sure. The gas and everything.
Yeah, that's when gas was like a buck a gallon or something. I can't even imagine doing it now. But I didn't realize too when you have a boat, you're supposed to have like unlimited resources, meaning money, because it just costs.
Were you doing were you doing well at that point though? Because you had a couple contracts and stuff, and you
I was doing well.
Contest prep. What would people charge for contest prep back in the 80s?
I wasn't really doing it.
You weren't.
I was doing that at the bodybuilding camps. I took that $500. Right. I got paid $500 to work for an entire summer, but I got my food free and I got my lodging free.
Yeah.
But it was under the auspices of you will get experience. So by the time I graduated college and moved back to Maine, I said I can have a bodybuilding camp, and I did my own.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was ridiculously successful.
How many people would show up?
I would do it this way. I would charge people and that was a lot of money 30 years ago, right? 92 is how many years ago? 12, 20, is it 25 years ago, Dave?
Yeah.
1992?
Yep.
I would charge like $900 a person, get 4 people for a 3-day weekend.
Wow. Yeah, that's good, definitely good money. And you take them to the gym?
Sometimes I'd squeeze in 4 people twice a week.
Oh my God! They'd come up during the week too and do this. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, what would happen? I'd do like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then people would be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm booked Friday, Saturday, Sunday." And they say, "How about the next one? How about the next one?" I was book. And then I just do this. Eventually, it'd be like, "Okay, what do I do?" And then I realized I asked someone, "You want to come like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
That's so funny.
So you get 8 people a week at 900.
Wow. It's a good
it
deal. Worked out. Yeah, that was a really good deal for you, at least. It's a lot of work, though. It's a lot of emotional commitment to do something like that.
You got it. Because I commit, you know what I mean? That's a problem.
Because you want people to have a good experience. Like when I do my guru course, it's the same thing. Speaking of which,
you're exhausted talking.
Oh,
right?
my God. Yeah, it's 10 hours of talking. But and speaking of which, I'm going to be holding one. I think I'm going to set the date for the third weekend in April because people are asking they want to book it. I'm pretty sure my new facility will be ready by then. It's close now. I can't imagine in 4 weeks it wouldn't be ready to go. So I think I'll probably release it on Monday, the new date of the Secrets to Becoming a Diet Guru course that will be held here in Cape Coral, Florida, at my new new RxMuscle Species Nutrition offices. So that'll be exciting. We'll have to christen it for the first time with that. And then a lot of people have been asking about the Dave Palumbo Experience app, which is available at your iTunes store or your Android store. It's $29 a month, and it is basically you get me as a coach online, essentially. You have access to all the articles I've ever written, all the videos I've ever produced. There's daily updates. There's workout programs. There's a ton of different... A lot of people have complained over the years that I don't give a lot of different workout variations. If you're looking for a different workout to do, every so many weeks, there's plenty up there. There's bikini workouts. There's open, there's men's bodybuilding type workouts. There's figure workouts. There's all kinds of different suggestions. And what I do is I just submit these things to my partner. He puts them up every day. So there's new content every day. Plus I do a very exclusive Q&A with Dave of all the best questions that I receive from the app. Because everyone who's an app member can ask me questions. You hit this feedback at the top left of the corner of the app. There's a feedback tab. You can submit questions. I answer them on a daily basis, but the good ones I save, and I do a Q&A video every week, and I know people have been really, really loving that. So the app subscribers are very happy, and I'm open to suggestions. So when people ask for suggestions, I put new stuff up. So that's working out very well, and I think we're going to save Ask Dave, Ask Chris for next time because we're kind of running out of time here. But obviously we've had a lot going on. Now the schedule's getting underway with this Arnold Australia coming up this coming weekend. I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting when you see top tier bodybuilders competing against each other. And the Arnolds, what they have 6 of them now, all over every continent has an Arnold except Antarctica, which I'm sure will be facilitated at some point. There's going to be some promoter out there who's going to be like, "Fuck, I want to hold the Antarctic." Maybe Tim Gardner will go there. He doesn't care, right? He'll fly anywhere.
Maybe they give a discount on the what's it called? Not the registration.
We'll do it in an igloo.
Yeah.
Do it in an igloo. So if you were a betting man, who do you predict for this coming weekend winning? I'll give you the lineup again. Curry, McCarver, Beckham, Morrell, Baiki, Max, Charles, Lockett, Guy Cisternino.
Well, Max is the dark horse for sure there.
Yeah, dangerous.
He's dangerous.
Curry coming off the win, of course.
Yeah, Curry, because Curry can come in off that great condition and still pull it through with the shape. That's what I think.
All right. Well, a betting man would go with Brandon Curry after the big win here at New Zealand this past weekend. Dallas McCarver looking to avenge that loss and finally snag his first big pro win of the year. Obviously, Juan Morrell looking to come back. Obviously, Max Charles got to be the wild card, like you said. And, of course, there's always Michael Lockett, who's always in shape if he can just bring those legs up a little bit more. Chris, that's going to take us to the end of the show. We're out of time. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.